Honestly, I'm tired of repeating the same cycles. I wanna let it go. So here I go, life drop. Starting a new path for my fam. Finding who I am. Speaking life, loving me, even when I fall. Cause life be life in us all. Life be life in us all. Cause life be life in us all. Life be life in us all.
Hey y'all, hey, it's me, Portia O, your host of Life Be Lifin podcast. Thank you so much for joining me here again for another installation of Life Be Lifin. Okay, child, life been over here lifing me, okay? That ain't nothing new, but whatever. Uh, If this is your first time here, welcome. On this podcast, we talk about how life be over here, life in us, via all types of relationships, situations, and everyday things we are experiencing, all while in real time healing and learning how to be a better human being. So if that's what you're about, you're in the right place at the right time. Thank you so much for being here, okay? My throat is a little scratchy, so please bear with me. I don't know what's going on, but it is well, okay? Let's hear from one of our sponsors, Shop Lene. Yes, Shop Lene, thank you so much for sponsoring this podcast. Next, we're going to go to hashtag Life Be Life in Us All, okay? Hey there, the village. Listen to my babies.
Hey, it's me, Portia, host of Life Be Life podcast. I like podcast. Psych, it's me, Leo. Psych, it's me, Micah O. Please email my mommy or DM her with whatever you want to talk about. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Because Life Be Life in us all. Bye.
Thank you, Leah and Micah. Aren't they so precious? Didn't y'all enjoy them for the last episode? They were, man, these kids. And that's pretty much what we're going to talk about today, okay? But first, I'm going to go into this segment. I got some questions, y'all, all right? And it's only one question for today. And today's question is, do you have EQ? And I know you probably like, what the heck is EQ? Okay. I didn't even know that this was a shorthand or abbreviation or whatever you want to call it for this. But EQ is basically talking about emotional intelligence, okay? And today's title of this episode is Chill. It's just emotional intelligence, okay? That episode that I did previously with my kids, Leah and Micah, who are so bright and beautiful. They're 8 and 5. I can't believe they about to be 9 and 6. Like, that's crazy work. But anyway, I titled this Chill is just emotional intelligence because it really is what that episode was, showing and displaying what emotional intelligence looks like, right? And even if it wasn't like full blown matured, right? It still is a builder of their emotional intelligence. So let's just get on into the episode. Did you know? All right. Did you know? If you didn't know, it's okay because your girl is here to help you and tell you something that I've recently learned. And I am also too new to what it looks like to build emotional intelligence, period. Okay. I've been aware of emotional intelligence since I've been in therapy, like giving it an actual word or categorizing it, right? But it makes so much sense why we have so many messed up adults out here, because they lack emotional intelligence. They are immature in their emotional intelligence. See that episode of my kids talking about how they feel, and even though some of the things they said didn't make me feel great in those moments all the time, or to see that from their point of view, their perspective, that they are taking something that I meant for their good as like, girl, we ain't looking at it like that ain't how we receiving it, like that kind of stings, right? But all in all, I know that they are still immature in their emotional intelligence. But me sitting them down and talking to them and having those type of conversations helps build their emotional intelligence, right? So we're going to get all into that. So did you know EQ is similar to IQ? Ta-da! Like, we are often so concerned with our intelligence, right? IQ, like how big is your IQ? Whatever people brag, society brags on, like people like Einstein that had a huge IQ, like he was one of the smartest people, and plenty of other people, right? And so that's something that we get hooked on in our society. We have another society of people. I forget what the name of it is. Clearly, I'm not in it. Uh, uh, I think it's Mecca or something, maybe Mensa, that really intelligent people get into that society based off of their IQs, right? So we hold IQs in high regard in our society to an extent. It's very important to be very smart and all of those things. Like, people respect you because of your intelligence, which is great. But we don't hyper focus on our emotional intelligence as we should, like our intellectual intelligence, right? So when it comes to ourselves, most times, but even more with our children, we should be hyper focused on our emotional intelligence. Okay. And so that's going to take me right on into, this is just my life experience. Okay. And what I am finding out on my healing journey is the need to not break or further damage my children or something or someone else, such as my children, because of my lack that I have experienced. Meaning, I don't feel like a lot of parents have hyper focused on emotional intelligence with their kids. It's really like, you got to be smart, you got to get all A's, you got to, and that's for some, that ain't even for all. But majority of people would love for their children to excel intellectually, book wise, in school, all that type of stuff. Everybody wants to brag and say my kid is the smartest, they're this, they're that, da, 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 when it comes to their intellectual intelligence. But what I am finding is, as a parent, and with the blessing of having children that God has placed into your life, that He has said you are qualified to have. And now I'm going to put a mandate on you to train them up in the way that they should go. I need you to train them. And so that means that we have to put self to the side, essentially, and hyper focus on building this child, training this child, educating this child, pouring into this child what it is that they need in order to grow up and be a good adult, right? Sounds simple. And I know we'll reduce our relationship with our children to feeding, sheltering, clothing. And I talked about this before in season 1 about what are you providing? Because, again, real quick, men are told to provide financially, women are to provide everything else. And so, but if you haven't been provided as a child with the resources and the skills and the techniques that you needed in order to be not only intellectually intelligent, but emotionally intelligent, how can you now give that to your children? How can you now be expected to show them what emotional intelligence looks like? That's why I said, from my lack that I have experienced, I didn't experience real pouring into emotional intelligence. And what I did receive was very much so a broke down version of emotional intelligence. See, we receive emotional intelligence, but it doesn't be to the maturity level that we need. And what I've also experienced is that most times they don't grow up emotionally. They're stunted in their growth. And so here you have an adult who has a child, and you and that child on the same level emotionally. And so as this child continues to mature in age, and you have not done the work to mature emotionally, you and that child is now picking up and seeing, oh, this is where we're supposed to stay at base level. They don't know how to guide themselves to be even more emotionally mature. And then we get all of these big feelings and emotions that we get caught up in spaces, and like, don't nobody understand me. Even if you do kind of see the world a little different than what your parentals or guardians or whomever has helped raise you, it's pushback all the time. And so you feel like the outcast, the outliner of the family, right? And so, which can stunt your growth even further, because you're forced to like suppress and repress how you're feeling when you see like, this ain't right. Something ain't right here. We should be doing better than this. Like, what's going on? And most times it's not until you become an adult yourself. But with that comes all these mistakes that you have made in relationships with people and friendships with people. And it's just like, it kind of builds us and shapes our world to a point that we give up. We give up and be like, you know what? Whatever, this is me. You gotta accept me as I am. Whatever. And then we just continuously take cues from other social situations that we have been in and are in, from our friends, from our peers, from our family and coworkers or whomever. And it seems that everyone around us, or majority of the people around you, are emotionally immature. Because the same as you, they have not received what they needed from their parents. And their parents did not receive what they needed from their parents. Or even if they didn't do the work necessary as an adult. See, the Bible tells us that when you essentially, and this is just the watered down version of what we say, when you know better, you do better, right? And that is like, when you know better, you do better. And so God can't or does not hold us accountable for things that we don't know. But when you do know, he does hold you accountable for that. And so if you know that, man, nothing really working out for me, or why my relationships are not prosperous, or why I'm always feeling angry or whatever, if you're not doing the work to figure out what's going on within yourself, in order for you to grow and to heal and to be better, then it's nobody's fault but yours. See, we only can blame our parents or our guardians or whomever that is that helped raise you and took care of you for so long. Because once you recognize that it's a problem, you then need to figure out how to solve the problem. That is your mandate as an adult. And even as a teenager, as a child, if you feel that conviction, like something ain't right here, like this is not normal or this should not be normal, even though this is something you've experienced pretty much all your life, right? So, like I said, what I'm finding on my healing journey, y'all know I started my real healing journey in 2019 when I started therapy. But before that, I felt a conviction over me spiritually, emotionally. Like I was just so tired and heavy from all the things that I have been experiencing that led me, and I was questioning myself constantly, like something's not right, like I don't know what's going on, which led me to go find help in therapy. See, I didn't just sit there in those feelings and be like, I don't know, maybe this is just normal. This is how it's always supposed to be. This is what being a wife looks like. This is what being a mom looks like. Like, even though I felt like this is not normal, I shouldn't feel this way. What's going on? Why am I always so heavy? Why do I fly off the handle when I get upset? Why is that a thing? You know, I questioned myself, which led me to get the help. And that help came via a therapist. And that therapist helped me unpack a lot of what was going on within me and why I felt the way I felt and why I thought the way I thought. Like, it was a lot. And I'm so grateful that I got the conviction that I got and I got the unction to go and get the help, which led me to leaving church because I wasn't being spiritually fed. I felt that before I talked to a therapist. I knew that my home church at that time wasn't fulfilling me. That's why I left there. And then, you know, whatever. But everywhere I was being intentional, like I need my soul, my spirit was crying out for more. And I wasn't getting it. Same thing in my relationships. I was crying out for more. I needed fulfillment in certain areas, but it's the recognizing of that. And I didn't have the articulation to say what it is necessarily, which then turns into frustration because that was a default setting. That was something that was poured into me. That's where my emotional intelligence was. When something's not going your way, get frustrated, get angry, get mad, fly off the handle, scream, yell, take it out on others. I didn't know how to self-regulate. I was prideful. I was annoyed. But I knew, and thank God for the Holy Spirit that dwelled within me, that I feel was really pushing me like something ain't right. This is not normal. This is not okay. And so I then took it upon myself. I made a decision. I chose to go get help. And with that help came opening a whole other door situation to my life that I never anticipated. The more I became aware of myself and how my actions and how my feelings and how my reactions were affecting the people I claimed to love and wanted to be in relationship with, it was very eye-opening. And it was like, all this time you've been blaming mom and dad, you've been blaming your relationships, you've been blaming whomever, when you have to take accountability for yourself and for why you were showing up the way that you were showing up. Yeah, I may not I may not have received what I needed as a child in that department fully. But also, that didn't mean I had to continue down that rabbit hole. But you know better. When you know better, you do better. And so I knew better. I felt it was off. And so now I'm doing better. The doing better, Jesus, that's been a process in itself. I'm now 6 years in, going on 6 years in to this whole healing process. And the last 3 years have been kicking my arse. But anyways, so yeah, that's just my life experience. And because of that, I'm just like, let me sit down and not break anything further. I don't want to touch nothing. You know what I'm saying? And that was really hyper focused on my kids because I just don't want to damage them. I don't want to break them. And they're innocent. And it's that duty and that responsibility for me to show up for them in a way that I'm still learning how to show up for myself. It's like, but it's necessary. And I think most times, most parents be like, oh, I want to give my kids the world. That's a part of it. Helping them build their emotional intelligence is a part of it. Not just making sure that they get the math and the reading and be hard on them about writing clearly and, being able to read and know their numbers. It's not just that. It's also, how are you feeling? What's going on with you? And I know back in the day, for sure, like a child's supposed to stay at a child's place. Yes, okay, but also, why does a child's place have to be secluded, isolated, out of the know of how life works? Why is it that a child's place is to sit there and be silent, be seen and not heard? Why can't they have a voice when God gave them a voice? Who told you it was your right to take their voice? It's still adults right now that don't have a voice because their parents or guardians or whomever they grew up around told them to not have a voice. And then you trying to figure out why it's so hard for them to communicate. Well, you never gave them a chance to communicate. You never asked them how something that you decided to do made them feel. You never thought to even pick inside of their brain and their heart and their emotions about things that is happening to them and around them. Makes them feel. We just be like, whatever, you don't know nothing because you're a child. And that's no further than the truth. They know a lot. God don't send us down here being dumb and ignorant and he does not. Children are very much in tune. They just were released from heaven, they're very much in tune. And we teach them to be liars. We teach them to be disconnected from their emotions. We teach them to don't do this and that. And it's not for their benefit. Even though you may feel like it's for your benefit because that's what your mom and dad told you. No. Because you now know as an adult how that made you feel. And even if you're not connecting the dots back to, well, this is what happened in my childhood, does not mean that that's okay. We all have convictions of feelings and things that we are experiencing as we are going through life. I never wanted to be a hard ass mother, no, you can't do this, or a strict mother. That was never a desire of mine. I always wanted to be loving and kind. I want my kids to want to be around me when they're adults. But you can't just want those things. I can't just will those things to happen. There has to be some work put in behind that. So in order for me to solidify our future relationship, that means right now, where they are now, is where I pour into. That's why these younger years are so important for parents to be there for. As we see when there is an absent parent or parents for children and they get older and then the parent want to be in their life, the kid like, I don't need you no more, because they've already built up this world, already feel so much pain and hurt from your non-presence that it's hard for them to now let you in because you didn't pour into their foundation when they were learning about the world, when they were learning how to be a person and a human being. You weren't there. And the same thing when we have parents that are in the home and they're still absent. You weren't there. You didn't extend yourself to them. And then wonder why the connection isn't there when they're older. It doesn't work like that. We have to show up. It's a must. And it's in how you show up, it's also detrimental to how they will show up. And so we wonder why it's so many narcissistic people out here, because they have narcissistic parents. You are what you are shown. Let me move along to tools from the toolbox of life. I'm going to help, as I always try to. And this is not just, I say this all the time, which I don't have to say it all the time, but this is for all of us, okay? Like, I'm trying so hard to not break my children, and I feel like I've already effed up in some areas. I strive every day to rectify that. I strive every day to show up a little different and to be apologetic and, just connect with them. And so I'm going to outline some things that, we can do with our children, but not just our children, because everybody don't have kids, right? But it's not even, I'm hyper focusing on the kids because I just did that episode talking to them about their feelings and asking them questions. And this is kind of where God led me to talk about emotional intelligence, because that's really what that was. And just a quick backstory of that episode. God had gave me the title of the episode well before I knew what the episode was going to be about. And the title of that episode was Making Space for Others in the Room. And I knew Leah and Michael were going to be on the podcast, but I didn't know what we were going to talk about per se. And I didn't know what questions to ask or anything like that until I went to actually outline the episode and God gave me the questions, because funny enough, I had just recently started doing that with them more often. And not collectively either, because they're coming to a point that they want one-on-one time with mommy outside, even though they're both girls, and it's easier for me to be like, okay, both of us, all of us together, like it's girls time, like all of us talk, but they both want to be heard. They both want to talk at the same time. And they both want their own individual time with mom. No problem. So I started setting up time to the side for us each to talk, and purposefully, like whatever that is. It don't have to be extremely deep, but it's just me asking them, how's school? How do you feel mommy is? Like, because that can change day to day. And it's really like me checking in with them and what they're thinking, but also like trying to get like a report of how they feel about me, because I'm not always showing up at top peak, mom, because I have my own emotions and feelings and mental spaces that I be in that I'm not necessarily 100% all the time. No one ever is, So it's very important for me to check in with them about how they feel about everything. That's pretty much what that episode was birthed out of. And I told them when I had that talk with them one time, and they both ended up crying in our talk, and this was just based off of simple questions. And I'm just like, man, I felt so defeated to an extent. Because I'm like, I did not know that they felt this deeply, or that they were carrying such heaviness with them at 8 and 5. Can you imagine our great grandparents asking our grandparents those type of questions? And they just simple questions about how they feel. It would surprise you to talk to your children and see where they really are. And again, creating a safe space for them to even want to open up and share that with you. I think, and I said that you can use the same template, not just for your children, but for anybody that you're in relationship with. For yourself, and I'm going to give, examples or things that you can do, but also how it benefits you when you implement these things in your relationships, okay? And so it's just, you will be surprised. And I think as adults that we tend to mask way more than children do, but children learn how to mask from us. And again, if you haven't created that safe space for them, they're going to tell you what they think you want to hear, because they don't want to incite any backlash or anything like that, right? But when you create a safe space and let them know that whatever you say here will be here, and I'm just going to listen, and I'm going to give you the space to express yourself, man. And if we could do that more often as adults and really be honest and truthful, it would save us so much more heartache and headache. But people just want to lie. And even if they don't want to lie, they probably don't want to lie all the time. But it's just hard for them to feel safe, because they never, or probably have never, felt it. So what does that look like for me? What is this that you're trying to make me do? Right? But we are meant to be leaders and not followers. We are meant to be the head and not the tail. We are meant to be above and not beneath. So that if for those simple things, period, if you want change in relationships and in connections that you have to lead by example. See, when we say those scriptures, those parts of those scriptures, we always think about finances. I want to be a head. I want to be the head and not the tail. I want to be above. I want to be not. Yeah. That sounds good. But again, it's in all things. I want to be a leader. I want to be able to show different and require different. So it is our job as parents to ensure that we are creating a safe space for your kids to share their feelings and help to build their EQ, which is their emotional intelligence. Here is what it does for them, and here's what it does for you, okay? Again, this is not just for children, but if you do have children, this is good to take note of. So the first point I put is improves emotional awareness, okay? By naming their feelings, asking what color describes how they feel, it creates a foundational skill in their emotional intelligence. Helping them name and validate their feelings encourages you to do the same for yourself, okay? So the benefit for you is that it increases your ability to recognize, label, and process your emotions instead of dismissing or suppressing them, okay? I agree with that wholeheartedly. Again, I'm always intrigued and shocked and in awe when I talk to my kids, because it's just like, man, y'all really feel that way. Or y'all really, that's how you see the world? And we think we be protecting people from things when we're not forthright or forthcoming with our dealings, and you're not protecting them because they see and they feel. So we are energy, and whatever energy that you give off, it's definitely going to be felt. No matter how much you try to mask and act like, oh no, I'm not in that space. Oh no, I'm fine. People feel your energy because we are all made up of energy. That's a way to improve your emotional awareness, okay? We're not suppressing anymore. We're going to feel them and we're going to deal with them. So the next point I wrote was models. It helps to model vulnerability and growth, okay? Emotional expression happens with all of us, whether it be negative or positive, okay? When we openly acknowledge that we are learning about emotions, it normalizes growth and imperfection. And see, that part with telling the kids, look, this is grown folk business, or you don't need to worry about this and that, da 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 da, like, or I'm the mama, I'm the daddy, what I say, what I know is best, and period, blah blah blah, with no real explanation outside of just pumping up your chest. That gives a false sense of perfection. It's so crazy. I had recently a connection with the older man. He was in his 50s or whatever. And I just thought he was so mature, so intelligent, so like, man, like, and I think because of his age came a sense of respect and wanting to see him as this mature, intellectual man. Um, and then everything he said, and that's just typically me anyway. What people say to me, I take at face value. Like, I have no reason to believe that you're lying, right? But anyway, the point is, when he would tell stories of his childhood and he would speak of his parents and how they were, he would hyper fantasize on the good times. And okay, understandably, but he made his life look like it was like the Huxtable's life. And my family, my mom and dad were hard working and they took us on vacations and we had such a good time and everything was just great all the time. And they were like this and they were like that, and it was just like this hyper fantasy, which I didn't realize at the time because I'm taking it at face value. Like, oh my gosh, like, you were so fortunate to be raised in a house with your mom and dad, and they had 3 beautiful kids, and y'all all were so great, and they didn't play no games, and they taught you how to be this and that, and to have a present father, and I was just like, man, that's so amazing, you know. Because it was something I hadn't experienced myself. So I'm just like, man, you're so lucky. You were so blessed. And he too has a child and he's present for her, and he, hyper fantasized about how he is as a father, and, how he don't want his daughter to take no stuff from nobody, and how he showed up as a father. And I was just like commending him all the time, like, man, that is so amazing. That is great. But then the fantasy bubble was popped. Because there were imperfections. Now, no matter, and I know even with hearing the stories and whatever, that it wasn't always perfect, because nothing is. I knew that. But I was in the fantasy with him. Like, oh my gosh. Like, and I would commend him all the time. Like, you're such a great dad. You're such a great man. Like, what? Who wouldn't want to be with you? Like, and we were never, like, it wasn't no romantic stuff. This was a platonic relationship. But it was just like, man, like, you're so amazing. Who wouldn't want? But the reality is, there were plenty of imperfections. Another thing that I have learned throughout life, especially when someone loses a parent, they like to fantasize only of the good, most times. And that's not healthy because it wasn't always good with them. It wasn't always great. They didn't always validate you or make you feel this or that or whatever. There were some imperfections. So I said all that to say, it's important that we openly acknowledge that we still are learning about emotions. It normalizes growth and imperfection. As a parent to your child, it is important that you acknowledge, say it for the third time, that we are still learning that about emotions and normalize growth and imperfections. Our parents and our parents' parents were the same age pretty much that you are today. I'm 37 years old. My mom once too was 37 years old, raising children. And so as much as I think I know, but also know what I don't know, she didn't either. And her mama didn't either. And her mama didn't either. And so I think it's important, it's one thing for your kids to look up to you and be like, oh my gosh, you're my hero, you're the best thing, da-da-da-da-da. That's amazing, okay? But also, it's also important to let your kids know, I don't know everything. I say this to my kids all the time. And what I do know, and what I'm sharing with you and why I'm telling you this is to help you be able to recognize and grow in an area that I may not have. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not perfect. I'm going to mess up. Because I am your mom does not mean that I know all. I do not. None of us do. But I do know that if you stand on the edge of that bed like that you can fall and potentially hurt yourself. And that potentially ends us up in the hospital. And potentially you're going to have to get a cast. And potentially, I do know that. So when I tell you don't do that, it's for your safety and for your protection. But also, it's other times when I tell you something and I'm doing it out of my frustration, my annoyance, what I'm going through, and I take it out on you. And I'm not recognizing that that's affecting you in a negative way. And so now I have to come back to you and say, you know what? When I yelled at you earlier, I thought I was just being stern. But in reality, I'm recognizing that, no, I was just frustrated. And I took it out on you. And I could have communicated better. And I'm sorry. That lets your child know, oh, mommy knows a lot. I respect her for that. But also, she messes up too sometimes. She's not coming off like she's perfect. And now I have to uphold this perfection type of vibe. No, because that's not real. You don't have to carry the torch or feel this pressure to be something that you're not. Because none of us are. Movies and TV shows show that all the time, how kids will view, or teenagers and all that stuff will view their parents like, my mom is so perfect. Or she likes to present to the world like she's so perfect. We have a perfect family. But nobody knows behind closed doors what's going on in our house. What message are you sending to your kids? We need to model vulnerability and growth. Room for growth. Designing even more safe spaces for discussion to show kids it's okay to share their emotions without fear of judgment. That's another big one. I don't want them to feel like I'm going to tear you down or judge you because of your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions. And I even had a situation yesterday, with Leah. And I was just like, she's been in this, pouty, whiny mode every time something's happening to her. Or And I'm just like, hey, cut all that out. Like, we're not doing that. And how I first approached it may not have been the best. But in the midst of the conversation, I realized, like, okay, Portia, you got to tone this down. Got to meet her where she is. You don't want to feel like you're tearing her down or you're judging her or whatever. I want her to feel safe to share her emotions, even if she thinks it may upset me. But why am I making her feel or creating a space for her that makes her feel like it would upset me? She should freely want to say how she feels without thinking about how it will affect me to the point that I'm going to retaliate. And that's just across the board, right? We should be like that in all relationships. If we say we want to talk to a significant other or a family member or whomever, we should be able to do it with love, dignity, and respect. And it be a safe space that I'm not going to tear you down. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to berate you because I feel like what you're saying is stupid or not of importance or, but we do that. We do that all the time to each other. And it's not okay. It's not. Again, we need to create these safe spaces for discussions to show our children it's okay to share their emotions without fear of judgment. This validates their feelings and encourages healthy emotional expression. That's how you get that healthy part to come in. If they know that you already gonna judge and stuff, I don't feel safe. I don't want to share. I don't want to say anything. And then that could piss you off even further. And that also happened in our conversation yesterday. And she got to a point and she was like, I don't want to tell you how I feel. But she's visibly an emotional wreck, right? So I see in her body language and all over her, she's feeling some type of way. Tell me how you feel. What's going on for you right now? I don't want to tell you because she didn't feel safe in that moment. After I was just talking to her about how she was acting and behaving and it's not okay and you can't do this and you can't do that, she doesn't feel like I'm safe in this moment to express to you how I feel. And so I had to come down further. Hey, it's okay. Recalibrate. See, and this is what I'm saying, like, ain't no perfection over here. It's always space and room and opportunity to grow. And I'm recognizing in the moment with her that, hey, that might have been a little abrasive at first, Portia. And I'm thinking, again, I'm just being stern and I'm trying to get you to understand where I'm coming from. And, she's hearing my heart, but she's not receiving my heart. I'm sorry if you felt like, I'm sorry, not if you felt. I'm sorry if I came off a little harsh. I just need you to understand. And so that helps soften her because she hears like, okay, this is where this is coming from. All right. So now I feel safer to hear or to tell you how I really feel. It helped to validate her feelings and encourage a healthy emotional expression. And so now she felt safe to express herself. And she did. And the benefit of modeling vulnerability and growth, in saying to your children or whomever you're speaking to, I didn't learn how to talk about my feelings growing up, but I want to do better with you. That fosters trust and strengthens connection. That vulnerability from me allows them to be vulnerable. And I remember having similar conversations like this with my ex and just saying like, I didn't get this, I didn't learn this or whatever, but still lacking the proper skill to carry that out still cause issues, right? But I think it's important for us to be honest. We don't have to act and pretend like we got it all together and, I know the world makes us feel like that. Like we gotta have it all together in order to show up for somebody else or to be in relationship with somebody else. No, be honest. Hey, I didn't get that. I don't have that yet, but I want to learn how to have that. I didn't learn about how to talk about my feelings growing up, but I want to do better with you. So if we got to take baby steps, we'll take baby steps. I just want to show up differently, and that's okay. Another point is enhance empathy and active listening, okay? When you ask them to reflect on moments like feeling brave or proud, they practice recognizing emotions in themselves, which is so important, guys. This self-awareness naturally translates into understanding others' emotions. Baby, I'm going to talk about this next episode in depth. But when I tell you, when you are self-aware, it makes you aware of everybody else's things too. Because you put yourself in this space of, if I'm feeling this way, and you see how somebody else, I know you feeling that way too. I can see you because I see me and I know how I am. So your benefit of this is practicing patience and curiosity while listening to your child's emotions makes you more empathetic in all relationships. Because I can sit there and listen to my kids tell me how much pressure they feel, how sad something makes them feel, how disconnected they may feel. I too can put that into action when I hear others. And I'm like, man, it starts when you were a kid and you still feeling this way as an adult. And that makes my heart melt for you. I see you. I feel you. I understand you. Not listening to respond, not listening to rebuttal, but actually sitting, actively hearing and receiving what somebody is telling you about themselves. Me and my good girlfriends have these moments all the time. And just be like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know you felt that way about yourself. I didn't know that's how you were receiving something. I didn't know, and we just sit there and listen to each other and be there for each other in that moment. You begin to pause before reacting. You listen without judgment and acknowledge emotions before problem solving. Because who else is guilty of always trying to solve all the problems? Not just your own, but everybody else's too. Let me give you a solution. Let me help you. Listen without judgment and acknowledge emotions before you get to solving the problem. Okay? I had saw when I was outlining this on Instagram, no, it was on YouTube. I had saw a title of somebody's podcast episode or whatever. And I don't even follow the podcast or nothing. Like YouTube just suggests certain things for you sometimes. And I was scrolling down my feed on YouTube and I saw that. And I went to outline this episode. And when this part came up, that title came back to me and it said, healed people can see hurt people. I was like, Lord Jesus, healed people can see hurt people. If you haven't done the work, it's much harder to see. But when you have done some work, you can see hurt people. And for me, that's huge. Because I see so much hurt around me. I see it in TV shows. I be like, oh my gosh, that baby's so hurt. Because I've actually put in the work. I've been so self-aware that I can see everybody else stuff too. Because I started to really pay attention to me. So let's enhance our empathy and active listening for not just ourselves, but for others. Another point is it rewires emotional patterns. Many of us were raised to suppress emotions like sadness or frustration. By allowing your child to express their feelings, you challenge old narratives and reprogram your responses to emotions, both theirs and yours. Okay? I agree with that. Like, I've done that. And I'll be like, man, it can all be so simple. Why am I viewing this way when I could just do it like this? Like, kids will really help you see because they are on such a base level. They still have an innocence towards them, about them, and again, they are what they are taught. Next, it develops reflection and self-regulation. Reflective questions such as, what's something you've been thinking about a lot lately, encourages them to slow down and process their thoughts and emotions rather than reacting impulsively. We got so many dang on impulsive people in this world. Lord Jesus. Or questions like, what helps you when you feel sad? Encourage them to think about solutions or coping strategies, building resilience and self-regulation, okay? The benefit to you is when you guide your kids or others to express their emotions, it makes you naturally begin to examine your own. It can lead you to consider your own coping mechanisms, which are extremely necessary, okay? We got this. We got to self-regulate. We got to really deal with our own stuff and tap into those healthy coping mechanisms, not the negative ones. I think I challenged y'all on another episode to write down healthy coping mechanisms so that when we do get into those mindsets and moments that we are reflecting and it makes us not feel the best, we don't want to go into those negative coping mechanisms. We're going to go into our positive ones, our healthy ones, okay? Another point is fostering deeper connection and solidifying the bond. I spoke of this earlier, okay? By showing genuine curiosity about their feelings, this deepens trust and teaches them how to build emotionally intelligent relationships. You can't build something that you've never experienced. Let me say that again for the people in the back. You cannot build something that you have never experienced, but you can learn how to. Okay? So the benefit for you in being genuinely curious about people's feelings and emotions, the more you engage in open, emotionally intelligent conversations, the more trust and security you build with your child and or others. This mutual emotional safety makes it easier for both of you to communicate and navigate challenges together. Okay? If you want to foster a deeper connection and solidify your bond, this is a must. A must. Okay? Next point, normalize all emotions. Not just the good ones, especially not just the bad ones. All emotions. Questions that invite kids to explore both positive and challenging emotions teach them that all feelings are valid and part of the human experience. They all are. Some people were concerned when Leah's response to one of the questions, I think the question was, what emotion do you think that all people should experience? And Leah said anger and sadness, I believe. And somebody questioned her and was like, why would you say anger? Why do you think everybody needs to express or feel that? But I didn't judge her for saying that. It was an interesting answer that she felt that way. But I also too believe that Inside Out helped her see the importance of feeling sadness in order to feel the joy in life. Like, we don't get joy without sadness. If you've only always had joy, then you don't find joy in joy. But if you've experienced some sadness, some bitter moments, some disgust, some anger, some embarrassment, some scary, fearful moments, when you do get to the joy, it makes you appreciate it even more. You need those negative or more challenging emotions in order to appreciate the positive ones. And they're all a part of the human experience. We're gonna feel them all. You're gonna get angry. You're gonna be sad. But it's what emotion comes after that. Joy comes in the morning, right? That's what the word says. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. You may not be feeling the best. You may be having some challenging emotions right now, but joy comes in the morning. Next comes this. Better, more positive, okay? And your benefit of doing this, normalizing all emotions. As you grow, you model what emotional intelligence looks like in real time. Not when they're older and now you're trying to tell them what you need to be doing. In real time. You are modeling as you grow what emotional intelligence looks like. Your child sees that emotional growth is lifelong. Ring the alarm, okay? It's lifelong, y'all. If you didn't get it as a kid, a teenager, adolescent, a young adult, a mid-age adult, an older adult, senior citizen, emotional growth is lifelong. It's never too late. You can always grow. You can always receive. You can always learn. Empowering them to continue developing their own emotional intelligence well into adulthood. So even with all that I'm doing right now, and I'm giving them an amazing foundation, right? But it still is a journey. It still is lifelong. They're still going to learn so much more as they experience life. Well into their adulthood. But baby, let me tell you something. I'm definitely giving them the cheat code right now. It ain't even like a negative cheat, but like I'm helping them to have a much more solid foundation than I did. And so when they do get into their adulthood, they're going to be so far. I mean, even before they get to their adulthood, but as they grow, they're going to be so far in advance. They're going to not make as many mistakes as I did because I lacked the emotional intelligence. They're going to be so much further ahead in the game. Only if all of us can teach our children and our loved ones and take it up on ourselves to really build our emotional intelligence, would this world really and truly be a better place. So, by guiding your child's emotional development, or EQ, you're essentially reparenting yourself in the process. Again, I may have lacked from my childhood, but now, as I am learning and growing, I am also reparenting myself. I'm giving, with every action and purposeful moment that I have with my children and anyone else I'm in relationship with, I am giving that little girl Portia who did not have or sought out to have more, I'm fulfilling that for her now. You're learning together with your children and even with whomever else, right? And that shared journey makes the growth even more meaningful. Because now we have this thing that we are experiencing together. And it's so beautiful, so meaningful. I'm grateful. So, yeah, that's that on emotional intelligence. And while you're here, listen to one of my life coaching videos. Hey y'all, hey, it's me, Portia O, your host of Lifin Podcast and your life coach. I am here to help you along your healing journey with a few things you may be experiencing while seeking a life coach. Today's focus is a desire, which is a long-term well-being of oneself. Do you have the feelings of being stuck, overwhelmed, or uncertain about your future? Imagine having a trusted guide to help you navigate your journey to long-term well-being. A life coach can help you set clear and achievable goals and provide support and accountability you need to stay on track. Together, you will uncover your passions, identify your strengths, and create a personalized plan for lasting fulfillment. Sustainable mental and emotional health is the ultimate aim for those working with a life coach. So start your transformation today and take the steps to a more brighter and balanced future. Your best life awaits you while
Life be life in us all. Life be life in us all.
All right, y'all. That was a great episode. I hope that helped you as much as it helped me. Chill. It's just emotional intelligence, okay? It was so meaningful and powerful, and with every conversation, I grow a little more, and I'm grateful. Going into my last segment, which is Speak Life. This is the segment where I leave you with a call of action for yourself, but not just for you, but for me as well. Okay? So I'll leave you with these words to hold on to until next time. Today's Speak Life affirmation is, as I continue to heal my brokenness, I am still valuable to others. Again, today's Speak Life affirmation is, as I continue to heal my brokenness, I am still valuable to others. You heard it, you say it, you write it down, and remind yourself to speak that thing and make it happen, because life be life in us all. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a wonderful and amazing day.